Okay, I guess recording is on. So thank you all for joining this call, part of our series to help people get back to jobs, find their dreams, and then be able to connect and network with others. So as you know, this call is going to be recorded and going to be shared on YouTube and social media for further impact to people who need those material and reference in future. So if you're not comfortable being streamed or recorded, please leave the session now. This is just a disclaimer to make sure everybody is comfortable about that. Our topic today is Foreign Credential Recognition Loans Program for Professional Development. I will speak about the topic in the last slide, but this is what we will be focusing on today. So let me just go to the next slide. So why we joined the community? Again, the community helps you grow your network and practice and skills and learn new resources that would maybe give you an edge in your search, and you can share and learn with others. Our target is you get to the job you love with using your full potential. So please feel free to share your LinkedIn profile in the chat and connect with other folks who already shared their profile. So the call structure is going to be a presenter who will share her wisdom about the topic, and then we'll leave the Q&A mostly for the end. If Vikki, if you want to take some questions, meanwhile, let me know. We can help you with the chat as well. So that's how the call will do. So we run survey at the end just to make sure we're addressing your needs and we're helping you getting that. At the end of the call, we do a group selfie, again, as a memory for all of us to remember that day when we were a little bit struggling, but it's going to be a good memory that we use as well to remember where we are. Kudos and recommendations. The call is definitely 100% volunteering effort. So if you want to be kind enough to share your kudos and recommendations to the speakers through LinkedIn, that's definitely a good gesture, and definitely also support you being recognized for your job search as well. So our goal is, as a community, is getting 1,000 people plus hired in 2021, applying those learnings. So it's up to you. If you were able to use those learnings and apply it 100%, you're definitely gonna get the job. And this is our promise for you. This is what has been proven. If you really apply those sincerely and became curious, ask questions, you definitely gonna land a job in 3 to 6 months. You have my word on that. I normally, mentor people, and most of them landed a job within 3 to 6 months when they applied those learnings. So our ask to you, engage and ask questions. Be curious, connect with others. Use the previous recordings. There's tons of great material there that would help you really bridge that gap. Our next sessions, reading and adjusting to personality types. This is going to be this Thursday, March 18, 8 p.m. So if you want to join those calls, you just go to our Facebook group or our LinkedIn group. We normally advertise there. The next Sunday will be Networking 101. I'm going to be sharing lots of tips about how to network within this social distancing and remote forum. So it will be great to see you all on that session as well. So today's topic, we'll learn about the program offering and eligibility and how you can benefit from this great fund from the federal government. It is a low interest professional development loans up to 15K. So that's a good number. Mentorship, sector specific information, and employment counseling. The eligibility for this, that you just need to reside in Canada, post-secondary completed outside of Canada, looking for employment, speaks English or French, and more details will be shared by our speakers, Vikki and Lourdes. So Vikki is a teacher and project manager with 20 years experience working in the non-for-profit industry, connecting newcomers to services, employment, as well as providing individualized support. I was one of the luckiest persons who got mentored by Vikki when I came to Canada. personally, I learned a lot from Vikki, and I'm very thankful that she's doing this today. She's originally from Newfoundland, where she obtained a Bachelor's of Education and has taught in Canada, United States, and South Korea. She's currently the director of the programs at Ottawa Community Loan Fund, a non-for-profit organization providing microloans for business and professional development purposes, as well as creating awareness of the importance of a strong credit history. So with that, I will hand it over to you, Vikki and Lourdes, to let us know more about this interesting program. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you so much for that introduction. And it was my pleasure to work with you, Ahmed. It was, you make my job very, very easy.
You too.
So what I'm going to do is start sharing my screen. And after that, that introduction, it sounds like I should know a little bit about what we're going to be talking about here. And I love your goal of trying to reach 1,000 people for employment for 2021. And if you are employed, it's fantastic to reach back to you so that you can actually be able to document that and show what things are working, as well as your upcoming networking session. I think you're doing a fabulous job by having everyone put their LinkedIn in here and encouraging that. One thing that I'll add to that is while you're here on the call, everyone, reach out to one person who you don't know. Reach out and start a dialogue, because networking online is just as easy as networking in person. I know it doesn't feel that way, but it absolutely is. Reach out, talk to someone. It's all about building those connections. So I wish you luck in your networking session. I think that'll be awesome. Lourdes and I are here today to talk about the Foreign Credential Recognition Loan Program here in Ottawa. This is a national program, and it's funded by Economic Social Development Canada. So ESDC, Social Development. Sometimes I forget what the S is, but it's sponsored by ESDC, and you will find it in other parts of Canada. Just if you're not here in the Ottawa region, that's okay. It is in other areas, and Lourdes and I have both included our email address as well as our LinkedIn profile. Feel free to reach back. We do have some connections in other parts of Canada to be able to help you out. If it's something you're in the Ottawa area, and because some of this we can facilitate online, reach out. Maybe we can help you, and especially if you don't have a place in your area, we'd be happy to help out. So what is the Foreign Credential Recognition Loan Program, and what can we do to help? So I will tell you that I have this now on my slides. There we go. Sometimes I have some technical issues with sharing. If it doesn't change, just let me know. So as you'll see, we are delivering this program in partnership with 3 other agencies. One of the agencies is World Skills Employment Center. The other one is LASA and OCSO. And what we will do is we're going to break down what each organization offers and to talk about the program in a whole. If you have any questions, by all means, please type into the message, save it for later, or just reach out, put up your hand, and we can answer the questions as we go through. One of the things I like to do, if you feel comfortable and you want to turn your camera on, by all means, please do. If you have your microphone on, just turn it off for the meantime, unless you want to speak. But please be active, participate, because this is your session and you should get the most out of this as you can. So the FCRP process, what does that look like? As I've talked about, we have 4 agencies that are participating in this program in order to give a very comprehensive service to anyone who is looking to have this service. And part of that is that each agency in Ottawa specializes in different things. So we have formed a collaboration in order to offer the best type of service for someone. Now, it all starts with a needs assessment. You come in and we talk with you. We talk with you for about 30 minutes, either online, when it was before COVID, in person, but now online or telephone. And we want to have a conversation with you. Where are you in your job search? What is it that you're looking for? How can we best help you? Because this needs assessment is not just about checking all the boxes and having you just fill out a form just so we have a form. It's really meant as a guide to lead you on your journey for your next steps in employment, because we want to be able to offer the best referrals that we can for you, because we all don't do everything in-house. We do offer it outside into the other agencies, and we're partnered with lots of different agencies. So what we want to do is we want to look at your eligibility. Ahmed did talk about it. You have to be either a permanent resident, convention refugee, or a naturalized Canadian citizen. So any of you who've gone through any of the programs that were offered by IRCC, and you know, oh, well, I've become a citizen, some of these programs don't apply to me. And as soon as you become a citizen, some of the programs really don't apply. However, this program is geared to help anyone who is eligible, a newcomer who has gotten post-secondary outside of Canada. You have to complete some sort of post-secondary. Was it a diploma, a certificate? Was it in a degree? In whatever it was, if you were a certified mechanic and you would like to do that here, absolutely, this program can help. If you've gotten your PhD and you would like to go back into teaching, maybe you were a professor and you need some guidance along that, this program can help. So there's lots of different ways that this program can help. It's not limited. We do ask that you have a Canadian language benchmark in either English or French of a 6+, because you are signing legal documents. You are either going to attend school or write exams or communicate with someone, and we want you to be successful. So the reason that we put the benchmark in is so that as you're going through this, that if you have the language for it, then your research has shown that the higher level language, the more successful that you will be. If you are still studying for English or French, you still can apply, even if you, sometimes we feel that our language may not be where it is, but if you take a language benchmark test and you see it, you're going to see that your language is much better than where you think it is. Continue to practice that. Lourdes, have I missed anything?
No, Vikki, I think you've covered everything.
Okay, so moving on.
So Vikki,
We've talked,
sorry,
go ahead.
For the benchmark, where do you advise people to get that? Is it the IELTS? Is it, you know, the YMCA, or where exactly should people get that from?
Great question. So if you have immigrated to Canada recently, you probably have completed a language test. You can use that language test. Most of the time, like we want to have that conversation with you. And if we're talking with you and we feel great, I'm not going to ask to see the benchmark, we're using that as a guide. If you do want to get your language assessed here in Ottawa, you would go to the Language Assessment Referral Center, which we call LARC, and it's at the YMCA. If you've done IELTS, what are some of the other language tests? I'm trying to remember now if anyone has the language tests. If you've completed a language test, we will use that language test, because we also have the benchmarks, what it all gears out down to. So if you've done IELTS, what does that look like with CLB? So we have that information. We can always compare back and forth. Any other questions? No? Okay.
Does the academic English test count as well? Because like IELTS, we have the academic and the general.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, great. So how does this all work? And I have referrals written across this, and I'd spoken about it before. Really, it's about connecting you with the service that you need at the time that you need it. And then also, as you're going through that service, maybe you need additional services, so you're still connected to people so that those referrals can take place. And for us, we refer to the 4 agencies, plus any outside agencies. But I'm going to break it down for the 4 that are in this partnership. World Skills Employment Center. If you notice right in the center, I have Find a Job. And they really help with finding a job. They help with sector-specific counseling and information sessions. So, for example, they just had a CPA session where they connected, they had CPA who was presenting, they had employers who were in the accounting field, and they had different sessions for people who wanted to go through the accounting field. They provide employment counseling, which is one-on-one, and they talk about what is it that you're looking for. They help with your resume, interview preparation, and all of this is geared to help you to find a job. If you are looking for employment, because many of us are looking for employment, it is something that is offered in this program. The caveat I would give for this piece, actually what I'll start with is the loan. We can offer it if you're outside of the Ottawa-Gatineau area. For the other services, I will have to talk to the partners to see if they have that space to be able to have you as a client, because they do serve the Ottawa area, but the loan is extended outside of Ottawa. The Lebanese and Arab Social Services Agency, what they help with is your credential assessment. So you've gotten your transcripts from your country of origin, you've come to Canada and you say, hey, now I'd like to know, what does this look like here in Canada? What does my degree mean in Canada? What's my equivalency? When you go to LASA, they will sit down with you one-on-one and they look at your paperwork that you have, and they can develop an accreditation plan for you. What does that mean? It means what's the steps you need to go through if you want to have your credentials evaluated. And they'll determine with you, are you doing it for academic purposes? Are you doing it for a regulatory body? Are you doing it just so you can have a general one? But they'll break it down with you and they'll go through all of those different steps. And then they help you with the documentation for credential assessment. Now, the accreditation plan, the meeting for all of that, that's free. When you actually apply for your credential assessment, there is a fee associated with it. Part of this loan can help with that. Sometimes people also get help if you're on, for example, Ontario Works, sometimes they help to pay for your credential assessment. But if you are looking to get your credentials evaluated, you need to also ask the question, why am I getting them evaluated, and how is this helping me in my job search? Any questions about LASA?
I think we're good, so maybe we'll ask at the end. Thank you.
Okay, great. Now, OCSO, Ottawa Community Immigrant Services Organization. This is a part that many people, you hear about mentorship and you go, yes, sign me up. I want to be part of mentorship. And mentorship has actually shown that about 65% of people who do go through mentorship find the job that they're looking for, either in field, related field, or an alternative career. Sometimes we want to make a career shift. And mentorship helps you to connect with people in the community, but not only in the community, but in your professional community. Because the way that they have set up their mentorship is that they're trying to match you to mentors who are in the same area that you want to go in or that you're currently coming from. So if I'm in the healthcare profession, they try to match me with a healthcare professional. It's not always possible to make a one-to-one match. If I'm a doctor, I may not get matched with a doctor, but I could get matched with someone in healthcare who can help to open up my networks to provide guidance around what I'm looking for. For this career mentorship, what they're doing is they're matching people who are in the regulated professions. So when we talk about regulated professions, if you're a doctor, teacher, lawyer, engineer, then these are all some examples of regulated professions. There are many, many, many more regulated professions, but these are just some of the examples. And they match people to people who are also in that world. Either it could be HR, it could be somebody who's actually engineer to engineer, it could be all these different pieces. And what they do is they have an intake as well to make sure that what you are doing or what you're requesting, you're able to do this. And I believe that the initial commitment is 3 months up to 1 year that you can have with a mentor. And most of the time, I think it's 6 months to a year, but I think in the FCRP program, I believe it's 3 months to a year for commitment. And you will be followed by that mentor for that time until you want to exit, either due to employment, yay, or that you are exiting for education reasons, you're going back to school, or you're exiting because of personal reasons. And I know, Ahmed, you have experience with the mentorship program, so
Yes.
you can also speak to that.
Yeah, no, actually, I was initially a mentee with OCISU, and then I became a mentor with OCISU for the last maybe 5 years already. I've mentored more than maybe 50 or maybe 70 people successfully land the job there. Thank you, Vikki.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you really see the difference, don't you, when you see people coming through mentorship?
Yes, it's really a win-win, to be honest. When I was mentored by someone, I learned a lot. And when I'm now mentoring, I also learn a lot. Believe it or not, everybody who speaks about their experience, that adds to my experience as well. So definitely a great chance for everybody. I really encourage everybody to find a mentor, either through OCISU or any other organization. They're all very good in doing that, and I really encourage people to have a mentor, because the mentor could help you push you to the target. Sometimes we get a little bit lazy, we get distracted, but the mentor really keeps you going. You get somebody to push you on the direction. Thank you, Vikki.
Thank you. And now we're going to talk about the loan. And this is the piece that some of you might be really interested in. If you have anyone in here who is in a regulated profession and you have to write exams, you have anybody in here with that? If you're in a regulated profession, might have to write exams.
Can you elaborate a little bit more about regulated profession, Vikki, maybe
Sure.
for some of the audience? Yeah.
So the regulated professions means that they are guided here in Canada. There's a standard that has been set by the certain profession and Canada, that in order to practice in that certain field, you have to pass either exams or you have to be certified in that area for like engineering, not IT, but there are some that are leaning towards some certifications. Right now, employment counseling is another one that is looking at certifications. Like there's a lot of different ones that you might have to get regulated in, but engineering, teaching, medicine, all of the medical fields, you have to be that's a regulated profession. So if you want to practice your work here in Canada, and when you're looking at job postings and it says must be certified, or you are part of a regulatory body or a professional association, a lot of times that means that profession is regulated. So even if we're looking at the trades, a lot of those are regulated. If you want to go, anybody who wants to get their hair cut, they're regulated. They have to do exams. They have to be certified in order to do that. So you have to really think about what your job is. And the easiest way to do it, you're looking at your job postings and everyone says must be certified, must be a good standing with your professional association, or all of these pieces that will lead you down the line to say, yeah, I think my job is regulated. Also on the Canada website, I wish I had that here now, there's a link that has regulated professions and how to connect to your regulatory bodies. There's one in Coming to Canada. Just can't remember the name of the site, but if I find it, I can send it back to you, Ahmed, so that you can look at it. Now, you had whatever job you had in your country of origin. And now you've come to Canada and you're looking at your job going, do I want to continue this work? What does that look like in Canada? And I will give an example. I worked with a program that were international health professionals. And at the time when I worked with the program, it was all doctors who had immigrated to Canada and were looking at, do I want to go back in to become a doctor or not? Because that is quite a lengthy process. There are a lot of exams you have to do. Then it's a huge process, and time commitment and money commitment. And is that something I want to do? Or do I want to take all those skills I have and use them in another field? So I'll keep going with my doctors. Some of them wanted to go into ultrasound, for example, because they had a lot of experience with using the ultrasound equipment, and they thought maybe this might be an easier way for them to transition, to get into work quickly. So they decided they'd go through a bridging program. So if you're in one of the regulated professions, Canada does have a lot of bridge training programs. A lot of them are located in the Toronto area. There is a nursing one that is located here in Ottawa as well as in Halifax. But there are a lot of bridge training that's out there to be able to go from one profession into either your current profession or your profession and bridge into another profession, because they do an assessment to see where you are and how many courses you'll have to take for that. I don't have all of that information. However, I can help connect you with the money you might need if you want to go into this. So if you are looking to upskill, you look at the job postings and you see, oh, if you are an engineer and you have AutoCAD and maybe you have to upgrade to the newest AutoCAD, so you have to look at the program and the training for this new AutoCAD, and say it's $5,000. I don't know how much AutoCAD is, but I'll use that as an example. $5,000 is a lot of money. And sometimes people will think, you know what, I can throw that on my credit card. Well, a credit card can be up to 29% or higher. If you go to one of the payday loans, please don't. This is me saying don't go to payday loans, because that's a vicious circle that it's very difficult to get out of. But if you want to get AutoCAD, you want to go buy the software because you want to practice, you want to make sure that this is what you're doing because that's what you want to do. $5,000, put it on your credit card. Now you're paying interest at 29%. Most people are 18 to 23%, but if you miss a couple of payments, you're at 29 to 33%. So that's a lot of money. What we offer is a loan that's from $1,000 to $15,000, and it's offered at the prime rate plus 1%. So this loan will help you, like it's much cheaper than the credit card, and it's an open loan, which means that you can pay it back as fast as you want, or as I can't say as slow as you want, because if we want to take 20 years, that's not going to work. Generally, it's a 4-year payback. However, we work with Desjardins, and if you are eligible, they have some other offerings that they look at. You might qualify for the student loan side, which means that you have the student loan payback. So mine is up to 4 years, but if they choose to offer you the student loan payback, you have up to 10 years to pay it back. So just depending on what Desjardins has to offer. But the loan was designed to help people who may not have credit established in Canada. If you have only been here for a couple of months or a couple of weeks, you may not have established credit. If you came from a country that believed in a cash economy only, you may not have established credit even if you've been here for 5 years. If you struggle with the credit piece in Canada because your culture is not open to having debt, because that's seen as shameful, I understand that. I understand where you're coming from with this. You have to make the best decision for you. What I can tell you is that in Canada, it operates differently than in other countries. So the credit system is incredibly important if you want to purchase larger things, such as a home, as a car, unless you have the cash that you've accumulated lying around for that. But it's really based on your credit rating for that. And Lourdes can speak quite fluently about this because she's one of our loan officers as well as our instructors for the Financial Empowerment Workshop. So I'll be handing it over to her in just a minute. But if you have some questions around the credit piece, this may not be a decision you want to take on lightly right now, but it's something that you may want to be aware of, because I always say that education is power, and with that power you can make more informed decisions. So even though you may feel a little uncomfortable about having a loan at this time, totally get it. We're not here to push a loan. If you come in to talk to us, we're going to, especially if you're here in Ontario, we're going to talk to you about OSAP. Do you qualify for a grant? Because we want you to have the best possible solution for continuing your education that we can help you with. So the loan is there to help with that, but there are other options, and Lourdes is one of our loans officers who would explore other options with you. But if you do decide that you're doing a short-term program that OSAP may not cover, if it's a 6-week program, OSAP will not cover that. But we can help with that. If you're doing an online program, anyone here doing project management? Any PMP people out here? If you're doing that online, yep, I hear you. OSAP won't cover it because it's not a long enough program. So these are some of the things that we could help with. And PMP is generally a couple of thousand that, you know, if you're thinking about that, rather than put it on your credit card, you could access this loan. And then we have a financial empowerment workshop that ties nicely with the loan. So we're not just going to give you the money and you can run away. What we want to do is really help you to understand, what does credit look like in Canada and how can you leverage that for you? So I'd like to turn this now over to Lourdes.
Thank you, Vikki. Yes, I think it's very important when you come to Canada to really understand how the credit system works, because it will help you for the rest of your life in Canada. There are many decisions that are impacted by your credit. Even if you want to rent an apartment, if you want to get a cell phone, there are many small things that we don't think about, but you need to have credit. If you want to make a hotel reservation, if you want to buy a plane ticket, that all you need some kind of credit for those things. So it's very important, like Vikki said, we do provide you with this access to this loan. However, we also give you the education piece, so you know what you are getting into, right? And you understand. Now, if you don't have credit established in Canada as yet, this loan can help you because, you know, your credit starts, you know, the moment you borrow some money, that's when your credit history starts running. So it's very easy to establish a good credit history with this loan, because the way it works, it's like Vikki mentioned, it goes anywhere from $1,000 to the maximum of $15,000. So say, for example, you need $5,000 for the program you are taking, and you have included textbooks, exams, everything is included. So, but you tell me, you know what, Lourdes, my program is going to last a year. So I'm going to make payment first $2,500, and 6 months down the road, I'm going to pay $2,500. So you get approved for a maximum of $5,000. And a month later, from the time you take the money, you are going to pay interest only. So, for example, if you took 2,500, you're going to pay interest rate on 2,500. Even though you're approved for a loan of 5,000, you're not going to pay interest on 5,000 because you haven't used the 5,000. So you are going to pay interest only on the amount that you have borrowed, that you have taken. And the interest rate is prime plus 1%. Prime rate is the rate set by the government, by the Bank of Canada as a lending rate. So right now it's 2.45%. So you are looking at an annual interest rate of 3.45%. So when you compare that to your credit card that might be 19%, you are actually saving some money if you go this way. As well, I have sometimes encounter some clients that said to me, well, I have some savings. I think I'm going to use my savings. This way I don't have to borrow money. And like Vikki said, it's up to you, really. It's your decision. We would tell you why you may want to keep your savings as savings, because you never know what the future may bring. So it's always a good idea to have a rainy day fund, a little bit of money that can help us at the time of an emergency. But like we said, we just let you know what you could do with those savings. Part of our workshops as well, we have budgeting and saving. We talk about, how to learn how to prepare a budget, how to stick to your budget, and how to start savings. So even if you decide, okay, I have my savings, you may want to say, okay, I had some clients that say, okay, I'm going to pay half with my saving, and I'm going to borrow half of the money that I need. So there is always a balance, or that it's right for you. So we do talk to you about those things, as well as, like Vikki said, about OSAP. Sometimes, I have clients that said, well, I do have OSAP already. Can I still apply for this loan? And the answer is yes. You still can have access to these funds, because it depends. Sometimes OSAP doesn't provide all the money you need. There might be certain things that are not covered with the OSAP loan, so you may need extra money. And yes, you can also apply for the FCRP loan. Now, as I mentioned, it starts as a line of credit, meaning that you can take money when you need it and use it, as well as put money back if you so desire, if you have money. So when you are in training, you are responsible for paying interest only. When you finish your training, say your training was 1 year, at the end of that year, you finish your studies, then you have an extra 6 months of grace period, where you continue to pay interest only. And this period is to allow you to find employment. So we understand, you just finish your studies, or you just got past your exams. There may be a period of time where you are applying for jobs. So that's why you have those 6 months grace period. At the end of those 6 months, this line of credit will actually become a personal loan. That's when you start making regular payments to pay for the amount that you borrow. Say if you borrowed the $5,000, then that's what you're going to start paying back, those $5,000. The term of the loan is 4 years. What that means is, like Vikki said, it's 4 years from the time you receive the money to the time that you finish paying the loan. There is 4 years. Sometimes the Jardin may offer you a longer period, but for us, we can guarantee 4 years. That's what we can offer you. And I don't know, did I miss anything? Do we have any questions?
Yeah, let me maybe just ask you a few questions, Lourdes, just to make sure I get this clearly. So let's say I take a loan today for $5,000. So you said, and I will finish my training in May, let's say. So you said there is 6 months grace period. So when should I really start paying? Is it, immediately after I finish, in June, start paying, or I can still pay after 6 months?
6 months, after 6 months. So for those 6 months, you continue to pay interest only. Okay. And then at the end of those 6 months, that's when you actually, the line of credit becomes a personal loan. And at that time is when you start making regular monthly payments to pay back the amount that you borrow. But like Vikki said, this is a very flexible loan, because we've had some clients that get their jobs while they are studying. For example, they get a job and they say, can I start paying it back? Absolutely. There are no restrictions, no penalties. So if you feel like, okay, I can pay it early, for sure, not a problem. There are no penalties for that.
Thank you. Any questions from the group? Yeah, go ahead,
if
Thomas.
I pay early, if I pay early, I'm gonna pay less interest, right?
Well, yes, you'll pay less interest because you'll have the money, borrow money for a less period of time. So absolutely, it's better for you if you can pay it early.
So just to make it maybe easier in terms of numbers, if I take $1,000 and my training finish in May, I will pay $34 a month on the interest until May, and then another $34 every month until end.
Let me do my calculation. $34 sounds too high for $1,000.
That's a lot for the interest. It's prime rate plus 1%.
So it's $1,000.
You said 3.4%, right?
0.0345.
Oh, okay.
So it's $34 a year.
A year. Oh, nice. Okay, cool.
A year. So that you divided by 12 months, meaning you are paying an interest of $2.87.
Wow, that's cool.
Yes. So it's a year. So whatever you do, you multiply the amount that you borrow by 0.0345, and then whatever you get, you divide it by 12.
Excellent. Cool.
And that's how much you'll be paying on interest. So that's when we say it's a low interest loan. And really, it's great that it starts as a line of credit, because you don't have to start making payments right away. Usually loans, the moment you borrow the money, you have all the money with you, and then you have to start making payments like a month later. You start right away making the payments. With this one, it's a line of credit, a little bit like a credit card, right? That you can borrow money and put it back and borrow money. And then when you finish your studies, you have another 6 months of just paying interest to allow you to find employment. At the end of those 6 months, yes, that's when you start making the regular payments. And the amount of your regular payments will depend on how much you borrow and how much time left you have from those 4 years. So that's why we recommend that your training doesn't go over 2 years, because 2 years plus 6 months grace period, that leaves you a year and a half to pay back the loan. So if you go any further, it could be a burden, and that's not what we want. We want people to be successful and not to be stressed about money and financial problems.
Excellent. Cool. So I want to just maybe ask the folks in the call if you have a different profession. I'm an engineer, so I know that there's accountants, there's bankers. Did we miss anything? If maybe Vikki and Lourdes, you have specific tips for accountants or bankers, engineers that you want to share. Otherwise, if there's some other professions here, let us know. We can maybe guide you as well.
Yes, so if you have any questions, I think it's easier just to reach out, and then we can tailor make and chat with you about what it is. I know one thing that Lourdes didn't talk about was when she sits down, she also does a cost breakdown and budgeting, and she talks about savings. And part of this is another financial empowerment workshop, but she does sit with you to make sure that what you are looking for, and she did talk a little bit about we don't want this to be a high burden for you. If we sit down with you and you come in and you say, I have 8 credit cards, because we really ask that you be honest. Money is a tough topic and we don't judge. We are here to support you. But if you come in and you say, I have 8 credit cards, all maxed out, they're all $10,000 each, I have a mortgage, a car payment, and I just lost my job, I understand that you think that getting the education will move you into the right direction, but you have some other things that you might need to take care of before moving on to that. So we're going to have that conversation with you, because we're not running the credit check, but our partners at Desjardins will be. And so they will run a credit check on you, and we do a character assessment. So we do ask to speak to people who know you and to understand a little bit more about you. But if you are in financial crises, we also have another partner that we would connect you with to help you work through that financial crisis, because easy enough to get into a financial situation where you don't see that happening, and it just kind of comes at you all at once, and we understand that. So what we want to do is make sure that even if you do choose this option, that it is the right option for you. So we will have that conversation. The other thing that I do want to point out, because we did talk a little bit, well, a lot actually, about the loan piece. This program, as you noticed, has 4 individual areas that you can either access all 4 because you're a superstar, or you can access one of the 4. Either way, it's open for all 4 of those areas or just one of those areas. If you're outside of the Ottawa-Gatineau area, to access some of the other services, excluding the loan, we would have to connect with our partners to see what their capacity was for that, because then it would, and COVID has actually opened up a lot more online instead of in person, because all of our services before were in person. But this is something that I would not, if you're sitting in BC, I can't guarantee you would have access to all of these pieces. I would, if you became part of this program, I would put your name forward if you wanted to access either World Skills, LASA for credential assessment, or OCSO for mentorship. I would connect with each one of those organizations first to see if they had capacity to be able to match you for the service that you have, that you've requested. Because I would try to partner with you. Go ahead, Florence.
Now, sometimes people have the question, okay, what if, can I access mentorship, for example, after I finish my studies? Or do I have to do it right away? No, you don't have to do it right away. You can wait until the time is right for you, and then you come back to us and say, now I want to access mentorship. Right, and then at that time we'll make the referral. So there is no time frame when you say, okay, you have to access all the services when you enter. No, it's as you go along your journey, you can think, okay, I need to access this other service. Now I've changed my mind. I don't really need to access this service. So it's very flexible, and it's very much up to what you need. It's tailored to your needs.
And there's always someone who's going to be reaching out to touch you to say, hey, how's it going? Tell me about what's going on with you. Would you like to connect again with this? I know that last time we spoke, you wanted to talk about mentorship. Are you ready for me to make that referral? So there's always those touch points from the various agencies with you. Any questions for myself or Lourdes?
Yeah. So, folks, if you have any questions, please unmute yourself or write it in the chat. Again, this is for you. So, take benefit of it, as much as you can. We're here to help you.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
And maybe you'll be able to respond or not. But basically, with the COVID, a lot of immigrants, they applied for PR, but the process is taking longer than expected. Like, let's say, for example, my case, I know for a fact when we call them, they say your process is 100% revealed, but we need a person to just say this way, but we need a person to finish the approval. I used to press the enter and get your PR. So am I a kind of person that can benefit for this program or start something, or I have to have my PR approved? So for people that it's on the process of getting the PR, can I access some of the program, or no? They have to get the finalized PR to be able to access it.
So for this program, yes, you would have to have your PR because there's a loan attached to it. And for banking regulations, even if you're not accessing the loan, we still would have to have the either PR, convention refugee, or naturalized citizen. However, are you in the Ottawa area?
I am in Halifax.
Halifax? Okay, so iSands in Halifax. If you're not connected with them, they're an immigrant serving organization that would have similar services to World Skills, so employment counseling, all of those. And I don't know if they are solely funded through IRCC, if they have PR, or if they can, because right now you'd still be approved in principle, or you're just waiting now for your PR, so you're still a temporary resident. But check with them to see if they have any programs that you might be able to access now as a temporary resident until your PR comes in, because some of the programs do offer it, and that's why I was asking if you're in the Ottawa area. I can speak to the Ottawa area organizations, the other organizations across the country. I know that there's a lot of fantastic organizations out there that do help people who are in this in-between stage. So I would say connect with your local immigrant serving organization that's there. Either you would find a settlement organization, and settlement doesn't only mean I've just arrived to Canada. Some of the settlement organizations also provide employment counseling.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Thank you for the information, because
especially
with the big invite by the government, lots of immigrants, like thousands of them, will be in this process soon, like in a few months. Yeah. And about the OSAP, just giving you a little bit of feedback. When I was teaching my students, they used OSAP, and it's very beneficial for them. Like they were able to access like the classes and everything, which if they hadn't had the OSAP, they wouldn't be able to afford it. So thank you for sharing with us.
You're welcome. Yeah, no, OSAP is a terrific program. They have a grant and loan portion of the program. So if you're eligible for OSAP, we will talk to you about what that looks like for you. And we absolutely, if you have a grant, you have offerings to a grant, by all means, take the best offering that works best for you and your family, because that's what this whole thing is about. Because the FCRP program is about reducing that immigration transition penalty. When you arrive in Canada, we all know that from where you left, the position you were holding, to when you get back to that position can take up to 10 years. And we're trying to reduce that. Hopefully, no more than 5 years. I'd love to see it within 2 years. And we all know that sometimes that may or may not be happening because of language or because of certification, but we want to try and reduce that 10-year penalty. And this is one of the programs that help with that.
One question, Jess, I'm sorry that
No, please ask away.
One question that I had, and just to add here, some of the students, I remember they received some benefits because they have children. And I don't remember if this is part of OSAP as well.
Part of OSAP, I can't speak to OSAP on that portion of it. And they might have received benefits through another agency. I'm not sure. I'm not familiar enough with OSAP to know the ins and outs if they do have benefits attached to it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So Vikki and Lourdes, maybe we have most of the folks here are either coming from Egypt or Brazil, and they either in Halifax, Cape Breton, Saskatchewan. So if you have any tips for those, specific groups, feel free to add. That would definitely help.
Yeah, I would say if you're outside of the Ottawa area and you have some questions about some of the organizations that you might be able to tap into who have the FCRP program, and each FCRP program is very different in different parts of Canada. In Ottawa, ours is unique in that we have this huge collaboration to provide that holistic experience for the client, from credential assessment to the loan to employment counseling and mentorship. Not every single FCRP program is going to look the same in your community. But because FCRP is a national program, there are probably places in your province, maybe not your community, but in your province. And if you reach back to Lourdes or myself, we do have a list that we could connect you to the right organization that has it, and you can connect with them.
Excellent. Thank you, Vikki. Cool. Any other questions? Mike, I know you've been listening, but I want to just get your insights as well as a recruiter. Maybe you face some challenges with some people who are searching for jobs. Do you want to share any insights?
Yeah, I really don't. Unfortunately, I wish I would have, and then I would have some insight. But most of the candidates that I deal with are already like skilled candidates and have certification. And what we do recommend, though, also is maybe they don't have enough certification, but now that I know that this program is available for them, I can point them towards this program to get assistance in getting the recertification or getting additional, required certification for their roles. So yeah, it's perfect. I wish I would have had that experience, but I don't. I will though now. I know that for sure.
Cool.
We have a lot of clients who want to upskill, same thing that Mike's talking about. And we recently had a client who found employment but was not working at the commensurate level. So they had entered into the organization that they wanted to be in. Mm-hmm. It's in the field, but at an entry level versus their experience is at a senior level. But in order to get to that senior level, they were told that they have to complete certification ABC to move up. Mm-hmm. And that's what they've accessed the loan for, so that they can get that certification to move up in their role. So it's really about if somebody is unemployed, underemployed, or needs to have that leg up to try and get into the job that they want to have.
Thank you, Vikki. Ahmed, you have a question? Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, how can we compare this loan with the student loan? Like, let's say if I'm trying to go for a master's degree, MBA in a university, then I go for a student loan. So how can we differentiate between this loan and that loan?
So that's a great question. Lourdes, you might have some more insight on this one too. It's comparing the student loan against the FCRP loan.
Yes, it all depends on your needs, right? Sometimes, and depends on the province. Like we talk about OSAP, that's a student loan in Ontario. So if you are in another province, there might be a different program for your student loan. So basically what you need to see is what are the conditions for that student loan. Usually, like we said here in Ontario, OSAP, it's a better choice. Why? Because you get the grant attached to the loan. So if I have anybody that comes to me and would qualify for OSAP, I will let them know and I will say, did you know about OSAP? That may be something you want to research and see if you are eligible, right? And if you are eligible, go for it, because you have the advantage of having that piece of a grant. Plus with OSAP, for example, you don't pay anything, no interest, nothing, until you finish your studies. So the interest rate is slightly higher for OSAP, but you have advantages. So it's a matter of you comparing what is this loan, the student loan offering to you, and what's the FCRP program offering to you. And then it's a personal decision. You say, okay, I think this one works best for me, right? So do research, see what each one of the loans can offer you, and decide which one is best for you. Or maybe sometimes, like I said here in Ontario, you may access both. But it all depends on the needs. And when people access both, we always have that conversation. Is this amount of debt something you really want to get into? right? So it's a personal kind of decision. But yes, do the research and see what they offer to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And just to clarify, the difference between grant and loan, grant, you don't have to pay back. Loan, you do. So different provinces. I know when I studied in Newfoundland, the student loan I had access to had a grant attached to it as well. And the grants varied based on your parents' income, because I was younger when I attended. It was only a couple of years ago, but you know.
I figured that.
But yeah, you have to look at what's better for you. And even when we had talked about the payday loans as well, and I said, that's just me, this is not OCLF Stan, this is just Vikki. Be very careful, because those interest rates are quite high and it does become quite circular. So if you are looking at something like that, because it's quick and almost guaranteed, you have to assess where you are financially as well. Is this something that I should be accessing, or is this something that I feel like I might be in financial crisis and you need to talk to somebody else who could help you with that, versus making a quick fix that seems like a Band-Aid, but it's difficult to kind of get out of that cycle. So just keep those ideas in mind whenever you're looking at money. How can you get the cheapest money that you can absolutely get for the amount of time that you need to borrow it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. So any other questions? I know we're on time almost, but I just want to give a chance for if there's any other final question, maybe before we take the group selfie here. No one? So again, if you're comfortable coming on camera, and we can take that group selfie and end the session. So I want to very first thanks Vikki, thanks Lourdes. This has been amazing. We really enjoyed your tips, and for everybody who joined, Vikki and Lourdes, emails are in the chat. Please leverage the connection. Be curious, ask questions. This is for you. So and they're very, very super helpful. I personally, got so much help when I came to Canada through Vikki and other folks in the World Skills, and it was really amazing. So feel free to leverage this network. Thank you, Vikki. Thank you, Lourdes. So if everybody's ready, we can maybe count 1, 2, 3, and then smile. We'll take the shot. Okay. Anyone else want to join? Okay. So 1, 2, 3, and smile. Cool, good shot. Thank you all, and enjoy that.
Ahmed, I'm just wondering, could we also get a copy of the shot? Would we be able to share it on our social media?
You can. I put it in the chat now here. If you wanna just save it on your side and put it in your social media, and yeah, if please everybody, when Vikki and Lourdes put in the LinkedIn or social media, just thank them, and again, kudos, recommendations are always very good. They've invested their weekend to help you. So just as a gesture, just again, a thank you note would be definitely good. Thank you, Vikki. Thank you, Lourdes.
Thank you for having
us.
Thank you, Lourdes.
You.
Pleasure meeting you both.
Thank you very much.
Have a good day. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.
Lourdes, did you get the? Oh, she ran away.